You're not ready for what's about to happen, but that's okay, because I'm going to walk you through every single piece of it so you're not blindsided, because this has already started. Most people haven't caught it yet. They're walking around thinking March and early April were the main event. They think the Aries Stellium came and went, and now it's just about recovering, or resting, or waiting for the next big thing. And that is exactly where the mistake happens. That is where people get stuck. That is where people miss the actual transformation that's trying to complete itself inside them right now. There's a good chance you're already feeling this. Maybe you woke up today and something felt different. Not bad necessarily, just different. Heavier in some way, but also clearer. Maybe you've had this quiet pressure building behind your eyes for days now. Or this strange sensation that you're supposed to be doing something, but you can't remember what. Or this exhaustion that isn't physical, but also isn't emotional. It's deeper than that. It's like your entire nervous system has been running a marathon in the background. And now it's finally crossing the finish line. And your body doesn't know whether to collapse or celebrate. And here's what almost nobody realizes. The Aries Stellium didn't end on April 19th or 20th. It didn't wrap up neatly like a calendar page turning. What happened was the planetary alignment peaked. The energy compressed. The pressure reached its maximum intensity. But the rewiring, the actual restructuring of your inner operating system, that is happening right now in the aftermath. And it will continue for weeks, sometimes months, depending on how deeply you were touched by it. So if you've been feeling confused about why you're still so tired, or why old emotions keep bubbling up, or why you suddenly can't tolerate things you used to handle easily, I need you to listen very closely. Because nothing is wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not falling behind.
Feel the pressure behind your eyes, the tightness in your jaw, the weight in your chest. That's not damage. That's the rewiring settling. That's your new normal calibrating. And it will soften. Not because time passes, but because you stop fighting it. You stop trying to be who you were. You let the old skin fall. And you step forward, not into certainty, but into the kind of trust that only comes from being broken open and still choosing to move. You're still moving. That's the only sign that matters. And I am so genuinely honored to be speaking to someone who's still moving. Keep going. The best part isn't behind you. It's not even ahead of you. It's right here, in this exact moment, where you finally stop asking for permission to be exactly who you've always been. That's the aftermath. That's the rewiring. And that's you. Fully, finally, unapologetically you. Saying, we're ready to move now. The exhausting dreams, that's your body saying, we're processing faster than you think. The sensory rejections, that's your body saying, we only have room for what's real now. The cycling between fire and collapse, that's your body saying, we know how to work and rest without apology now. The quiet indifference, that's your body saying, we've stopped bleeding for people who wouldn't even offer a bandage. And the small, automatic changes, that's your body saying, watch this, I've got you. So if you're still here, if you've made it this far, I genuinely appreciate you. Not because you watched a video, because you stayed with yourself. Because you stayed curious about your own transformation instead of numbing out or checking out or pretending nothing was happening. That takes courage. That takes the exact kind of Aries fire that this whole stellium was designed to awaken. And I want you to know something before you go. The version of you that exists after this rewiring is not going to be impressed by the same things the old you was impressed by. They're not going to be hurt by the same things. They're not going to chase the same people, crave the same validation, or collapse under the same weight. And that might feel lonely for a while. But loneliness is just the space between the old crowd and the new one. And the new one is coming. They're being rewired too. And when you find each other, you won't have to explain anything. You'll just recognize the same quiet fire in each other's eyes. That's what the Aries Stellium was always about. Not making you louder, making you more real. And real is rare. Real is precious. Real is the only thing that survives. So take a breath. Right now. A slow one. Feel your feet on the floor if you're sitting, or the ground beneath you if you're standing.
You hang up your coat instead of throwing it on the chair. You wash the dish immediately instead of leaving it in the sink. You reply to the text within an hour instead of 3 days. You go to bed 15 minutes earlier. You drink water before coffee. Tiny, almost invisible shifts in your daily behavior that no one else would notice, but you notice.
And the strange part is, you didn't make a resolution. You didn't set a goal. You didn't write it in your journal or tell anyone about it. It just started happening. This, right here, is the most powerful evidence that the Aries Stellium has rewired you at the level of identity. Because real change never starts with big dramatic declarations.
It starts with the small, automatic, unconscious shifts that happen when your self-concept changes. You don't have to try to be a person who hangs up their coat. You simply become that person. And then, hanging up the coat is just what you do. Most people are waiting for a sign, a download, a cosmic confirmation that they've changed.
And all along, the proof has been in the tiny, unremarkable, beautiful ways you have started showing up for yourself. The water you drink, the early bedtime, the text you reply to, the dish you wash. These are not small things. These are the architecture of a new self.
And if you're seeing them in your life, even a little bit, even inconsistently, you need to know that the rewiring is real. It is complete. And it is permanent. So let me say this directly. You are not behind. Whatever timeline you thought you should be on, whatever goalpost you moved for yourself, whatever standard you're holding yourself to that you borrowed from someone else's journey, you can let it go right now. The Aries Stellium did not come to make you into someone you're not. It came to strip away everything you were not, so that who you actually are could breathe. And that process is uncomfortable. It is disorienting. It will make you question your sanity, your relationships, your career, your entire understanding of yourself. Because you spent so long fighting for things that mattered deeply, and now they just don't. But here's the truth you need to hear. That indifference is not apathy. It is discernment. You haven't stopped caring. You've stopped wasting your care on things that were never worthy of it. And that is one of the clearest signs that the rewiring is complete. The old hooks are gone. The old buttons don't work anymore. And the people who used to push them, they will feel heavy to you now. Not because you're judging them, because you're no longer vibrating at their frequency. And the distance between those frequencies is the space where your new life is going to grow. Before I give you the seventh sign, I want to pause here and read a comment from someone who felt the same energy recently. Someone wrote, and I'm paraphrasing because I want to honor their energy, but they said, "I thought I was going crazy. I kept waiting for things to feel better the way they used to, and they just don't. But now I'm starting to realize that better doesn't look like what I thought. Better looks like not caring about stuff that used to destroy me, and that's actually way better than I ever imagined." That comment hit me so deeply because that's exactly it. We think healing will feel like happiness, but sometimes it feels like emptiness. Not a hollow emptiness, a cleared out emptiness. We've taken out the trash, and now there's space emptiness. And that space is sacred. So if you've been feeling that quiet, unsettling indifference, I want you to know that you are not broken. You are not cold. You are not losing your heart. You are finally protecting it. And that is a different kind of beautiful. Okay, sign number 7. And this is the one that ties everything together. The one that most people miss because it's so quiet, so ordinary, so easy to overlook. You have started doing small things differently without deciding to.
The high energy days are for initiation, for starting, for planting flags in new territory. The low energy days are for integration, for rest that actually means something, for the invisible work of letting the seeds take root. The problem is that most people try to make the high energy days last forever, and then they crash harder.
Or they judge themselves on the low energy days and try to force productivity, which only drains them further. The mastery is in learning to flow with the cycle instead of fighting it. When you have the fire, use it, not as an obligation, but as a gift. When the fire fades, rest, not as a failure, but as a necessity. And here's the strange truth. The more you allow the collapse days without shame, the shorter they become.
Because most of the exhaustion isn't from the work, it's from the resistance to the rest. So I'm going to give you permission that no one else will. On your low days, do nothing. Really nothing. No guilt, no scrolling, no half-watching videos while feeling bad about not being productive.
Just be still. Let your nervous system recalibrate and trust that the fire will come back. It always does. Sign number 6. This one is subtle, but it's the most important on this list. You have stopped caring about things that used to consume you, and it's almost unsettling. Arguments you would have fought for 6 months ago now feel pointless. People you would have chased, explained yourself to, tried to win over, you feel nothing. Not anger, not resentment, just indifference. And that indifference is actually scarier than the anger ever was, because it makes you question who you've become. Most people think healing looks like forgiveness or understanding or compassion, and sometimes it does. But real healing, deep structural healing, often looks like disinterest. You simply stop being invested in the old story. The Aries Stellium has been rewiring your sense of self so completely that the things that used to define you no longer fit. That doesn't mean you were wrong before. It means you were growing towards something, and now you've arrived. And the arrival doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like quiet. Like silence where there used to be noise. Like peace where there used to be obsession. And that can be disorienting.
Not dramatically wrong, just off. Like wearing a shirt that used to fit perfectly, and now it pulls in the wrong places. And you can't always explain why. You just know something is shifted. This is the physical rewiring I mentioned earlier, and it's the sign that most people ignore because they think they're just being picky or sensitive or difficult. But here's what's actually happening. Your nervous system has been upgraded. The Aries Stellium didn't just change your mind, it changed your entire sensory apparatus. What used to be a tolerable level of noise is now an assault. What used to be a harmless offhand comment now feels like a violation.
What used to be a cozy, familiar space now feels like a cage. And the reason is simple. Your frequency has risen. And things that don't match that frequency are going to feel wrong. Not because they're bad, because they're different. And your body, your wise, honest body, is letting you know. So here's what almost nobody tells you about this phase. You don't have to burn bridges. You don't have to make announcements. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. You just have to stop tolerating what your body already knows is over. That means leaving the grocery store when the lights feel too bright. That means turning down invitations without a long excuse. That means changing your sheets even though you just washed them because something about the fabric feels wrong. That means trusting the small no's so you don't have to create a massive, dramatic, bridge-burning no later. And here's the hidden gift. The more you honor these small bodily rejections, the clearer your path becomes. Because every time you say no to something that doesn't fit, you make space for something that does.
Sign number 5. You are cycling between extreme motivation and complete collapse, with almost nothing in between. One day you wake up at 5 a.m., write 10 pages, clean your entire house, start a new project, and feel like you could conquer the world. The next day, you can barely get out of bed. Your limbs feel heavy. Your thoughts move through molasses. And you look back at yesterday's version of yourself and wonder who that person was and where they went. This is not inconsistency. This is not laziness. This is not a lack of discipline. This is the Aries energy surging and ebbing like a tide. And here's what almost nobody understands about that cycle. Both states are productive.
Running through hallways, looking for something you can never find. And you wake up feeling like you just worked a full shift. Your jaw is tight, your shoulders are up by your ears, your eyes are dry and heavy. Most people think this is stress or anxiety rising to the surface. And yes, that's part of it. But what's really happening is that your subconscious is processing the stellium's energy while your conscious mind rests. Aries energy is direct. It doesn't wait for permission. So when you try to sleep, when you try to escape the intensity of the rewiring, your subconscious steps in and says, fine, we'll do this here. And then you spend 8 hours internally fighting, internally deciding, internally burning through the very energy you were trying to restore. Here's the truth that might feel uncomfortable. You cannot sleep your way through this rewiring. Rest is important. Sleep is non-negotiable. But if you're using sleep as an escape, as a way to avoid the decisions the stellium is demanding you make, your subconscious will wake you up every single time. So what do? You start having the conversations while you're awake. You start making the small decisions during the day. You stop putting off the text you need to send, the boundary you need to set, the yes or no you've been sitting on for weeks. Because every decision you make consciously is one less decision your subconscious has to process at 3 a.m. And here's the beautiful part. When you start doing that, the dreams don't necessarily stop, but they change. They become lighter, more symbolic, less exhausting. Because you're no longer fighting yourself. You're partnering with yourself. Sign number 4. You've noticed that your body is rejecting things it used to tolerate. And I don't just mean food, although that's often part of it. I mean people, places, routines, conversations, the way your favorite chair feels, the sound of certain voices, the texture of your bed sheets. Things that were fine, completely neutral, even comforting 6 months ago, now feel wrong. Some pressure is just pressure. Some installation just needs time. And that is deeply uncomfortable for the Aries part of you that wants answers now. But that's actually the second sign.
Sign number 2. Your impatience has turned inward, and it's starting to eat at you in ways you don't fully understand. Before the stellium, maybe you were impatient with other people, with slow drivers, with late replies, with people who couldn't keep up. But now that impatience has nowhere to go, because the external triggers have quieted down, but the internal fire hasn't. So you find yourself getting frustrated with your own body for needing sleep, with your own mind for processing slowly, with your own emotions for not resolving fast enough. And that creates this horrible loop where you're angry at yourself for being angry, and then exhausted from the anger, and then angry about being exhausted. Here's what almost nobody talks about. That internal impatience is actually the stellium still moving through you. Aries energy is action energy. It needs to move. It needs to burn. And when there's no external target, it turns inward. But here's the reframe that changes everything. That impatience is not a flaw. It's fuel. It's the energy of your future self, standing at the door, wondering what's taking so long. And the reason it feels so sharp right now is because you are closer than you think. Impatience is almost always the emotion that arrives right before a breakthrough, because your soul knows what's coming, even if your conscious mind doesn't. So instead of fighting the impatience, instead of trying to meditate it away or breathe through it or affirm your way out of it, I want you to do something radical. I want you to think it. I want you to say out loud if you can, I know you're ready. I know you've been waiting, and I'm catching up as fast as I can. That simple act of acknowledgement will take the sharp edge off, because the impatience isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to wake you up. Sign number 3. And this one is going to feel personal, because it is. You have been having dreams that leave you more tired than when you went to sleep. Not nightmares necessarily, just intense dreams. Detailed dreams. Dreams where you're solving problems, having conversations, making decisions, packing boxes.
You are in the middle of a very specific, very powerful, very irreversible transformation. And these 7 signs are how you know the Aries Stellium is still rewiring you. Let me be direct with you. Most spiritual content will tell you to just rest, just surrender, just let go. And those things have their place. But right now, in this specific window, passive surrender is actually dangerous, because the Aries energy doesn't surrender. It initiates, it ignites, it rebels against anything that tries to keep it small. So if you only rest right now, if you only wait, if you only breathe and hope things get better, you will miss the window where action actually means something. And that is why I'm making this video. Not to scare you, to wake you up. Because the rewiring happening inside you right now is not gentle. It is not subtle. And pretending it is will only make the after effects last longer. So let's go through the 7 signs. And as I name each one, I want you to notice what happens in your body. Not your mind, your body. Because that's where the real information lives. Sign number 1. You are experiencing what I call pressure behind the third eye, but not in a mystical way. In a very physical, almost uncomfortable way. It might feel like a tight band around your forehead, or a pulsing sensation right between your eyebrows, or a heaviness that makes you want to close your eyes even when you're not tired. And the strange part is, it doesn't come with headaches necessarily. It's just presence. Like something is pressing gently against that spot from the inside. Most people think this is a spiritual opening, and technically it is. But what's actually happening is much more grounded than that. Your pineal gland, your pituitary gland, the entire neurochemical system of your inner vision is being recalibrated. The Aries Stellium didn't just activate your intuition. It forced your brain to rewire how it processes information that isn't physical. And right now, in the aftermath, that recalibration is settling into place. That pressure you feel, that's not a block, that's installation. That's the new hardware being seated properly. And if you try to force it open faster, or if you panic and try to shut it down,
you'll create resistance that makes the whole process take longer. So here's what you do instead. Nothing. You let it press. You let it sit. You stop trying to interpret every flicker and shadow as a message. 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 Shadow as a message.